everyone. Welcome to another episode of Let's Chat Reality. I'm Michael.
And I'm Molly.
We hope you all had a very happy new year. This is our first episode of 2026, and we are starting off with a bang. We are doing our draft and cast assessment of the Traitors Season 4 with our very good friend, Jenna Quirk. Jenna, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. Happy 2026. Honored to be the first guest of the new year.
Yeah, we
Yes.
are so excited to have you as always. And we are so excited to get into this cast that we have been looking forward to for what feels like so long at this point since
Months.
they filmed. Months. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's been a long journey to get here, but we are finally here. And Traders is starting up in just a few days of us recording this. We cannot wait for that. And in preparation, we are going to draft these contestants. So we are going to do a snake draft as we have done in the past. So whoever gets first pick, which we will determine by a wheel very soon here, will get one fewer person on their team than the other two. So one team will have 7, the other team will have 8. And as we go through them, we'll just kind of give our thoughts and predictions for how they're going to do. And then we will, by the end, have our full teams to root for the season. So, Jenna, Molly, are y'all ready?
Yes, let's do it.
All right. Well, then I will spin this wheel here. So whoever gets picked on the wheel will have the choice of where they want to go on the draft and the rest of the order, I guess we'll say, just to make it easy. So let's see who gets picked here. Big money, no whammies. Okay, I swear this wasn't rigged. I swear. I can send y'all a picture of it. But it's me.
That's good. You get to choose, Michael. Which order do you want?
I have to pick. I have to pick myself first. I'll have one fewer on my team, which is fine. I really only want one person that matters.
Yes.
And then Jenna, I will let you go second as our guest, and then Molly, you'll go third.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, then we can get started here. I think this is pretty obvious. First choice has got to be my good friend Rob Cesternino.
Yeah. I knew that was going to be your first option there.
I just want to see how excited I am to see Rob Cesternino on Traitors and on our TVs back after so many years. It has been 21 years, 22 years since we've seen him on TV. It's just, I mean, he means so much to me, and we wouldn't have met Jenna if it wasn't for RHAP and Rob and the community that he's built. And I think that he has so much potential to do so well in this game because he has studied these shows. He has so many relationships with these people, and even the ones who he doesn't necessarily have personal connections with. I know that he did a lot of studying of Bravo and Housewives that were likely to be on before this, and just he's talked to so many people and has recapped every episode with Puya of the first 3 seasons and watched all the international versions. And like, he knows this game inside and out. He knows social strategy games inside and out, and I am so excited to see what he does here.
Yeah.
My favorite seasons of reality TV have people who I am rooting for more than others to win. And that's definitely the case with Rob here. I echo everything that you said about Rob and just how much he means to me and to like my reality TV viewing experience would just not be, I wouldn't be the fan I am of these shows without Rob and without the empire that he's created. And I'm hoping that he has so much fun and that he does well and that but more so just like has a positive experience. And I'm really hoping that he just goes really far so we can get as much Rob as on our screens as possible, and that I just know he'll make us proud with however he does.
He'll make us proud no matter how he does.
Exactly.
I'm just so happy. Like, you could tell, like, when he got back, just like, I don't know, of course, I don't know any information of how he does, but you could tell he was so happy and
Mhm.
smiling, and so I do think that it seems like he had a positive experience no matter how it went, and I cannot wait.
Obviously, we're so excited to see Rob, and so hopefully he can make it far. But do you think he'll be a traitor or a faithful?
I
I
hope
think
he's a
he's going to be
faithful.
a faithful.
Yeah,
Faithful? Yeah,
yeah.
I
Jenna,
agree.
why do you want him to be a faithful?
I want him to be a faithful and then get recruited as a traitor later on. I feel like that's the most sound winning strategy. I also think that he'll be able to fall into the group collaborative effort a little bit more as a faithful and might have a little bit more fun and not be like as stressed as he might have been if he was actually a traitor. I mean, he'll still be stressed, but I think with Rob, because I just love him so much and have met him and just have such high respect for him. I want him to have as fun of an experience as possible. And so I think that him as a faithful versus him as a traitor might just be a little bit more enjoyable or fun for him. But I do want him to be recruited as a traitor later on after he's kind of like proven himself to be a faithful. But I think that that's kind of a really good path for him.
I totally agree with that. I think that's the best route. I think that's the best route for anyone pretty much, is to be able to have those first few days at least to be able to get in as a faithful and make authentic relationships and not be nervous, not be stressed out, and be able to do things that only a faithful would be able to authentically do or say. And then at some point, once you've established those relationships, then you be a trader. You don't have to worry about getting murdered. Like, you get all the benefits of that as well. So I agree that I think that is the ideal path for him. All right. Well, Jenna, you get next pick.
Oh gosh. Okay, I have a few people who I have been wanting. I'm trying to think of the best way to go about this though. I think I'm gonna pick up Jam Jam from Survivor because I have a feeling he's gonna do very well, and I feel like really confident about his abilities going in. I could really see this going either way, though, about him being a faithful or a traitor. I do kind of think that none of the CBS reality stars are going to be faithful or going to be traitors off the bat, because there's always been at least one or two as starting traitors in the previous three US seasons. So I do kind of think that they're itching to switch that up a little bit. However, I think that Jam Jam's personality like really will be fantastic on the traders. He's so lively, he's so energetic, he's so really makes bonds quickly. He won Survivor. That might paint a big threat on his back, but I really think that he'll be able to overcome it.
Yeah, I love Jam Jam. I mean, I think that the only reason I think he won't be a traitor is because Carolyn was just a traitor. And like, that's almost too obvious because they literally were like not only on the same season, but like one of each other's closest allies. And so it's almost like just picking Carolyn again as a traitor. So I think that they probably won't go in that direction now that I think about it, even though Jam Jam was initially one of the people who I thought very likely could be a traitor just because he has that personality for it that I think they love to see in the turret. But the more I think about it, I think that he probably won't be. So that's the only thing that worries me, is just like a survivor threat. These people who don't know him, haven't seen his game. The only thing they know is that he was a winner of Survivor. If there's not a gamer in the turret, or at least a gamer who's like close to him in any way, then that could put him in danger as just somebody who's kind of like a big threat and gets cut early on because of that.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like I would want to see him as a traitor, but I don't think they would put him as one just because of how closely he's to Carolyn and that also survivor relation that they seem to maybe move it from this season. Maybe, I mean, maybe not, but I feel like in past seasons we've seen them always have someone from Survivor, so maybe they're not going to do that again. So we'll have to see how they choose the traitors. But next, I get to go and I choose two back to back, which is exciting. But I'm going to make my first pick Donna Kelsey because I feel like Obviously, she's not from a reality show. She's just Travis Kelsey's mom and Jason Kelsey's mom. But Travis more relation to because he's dating Taylor Swift or engaged to Taylor Swift. Yeah, there's a ring. But I just think that I feel like like always like that the mom of the group or whatever, like people don't really suspect. And I actually do think that she could be a traitor and do a good job at it and make it far in that role. I mean, if she's not a traitor, I think people will still love her and then make it far just being a faithful with them too. But that's why I'm going to choose Donna as my first pick.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are just going to be afraid to get her out because they don't want to get on Taylor and Travis's bad side, right?
True.
It's
I
like
think
Frankie Grande.
I feel like she's gonna be a traitor. Like I feel like there's like no ifs answer, but she's gonna be a traitor. And if I'm wrong, then you guys can slash me in the comments. But that's my prediction, my bold prediction.
Yeah.
I agree with that because I think, first of all, they want her to last a while.
Mhm.
And second of all, it feels very Traders UK coded to me, where the older woman, unsuspecting, ends up being a traitor. We saw that a couple times in Traders UK, and they love that. And it's the same production company, so I feel like it's not something necessarily that we've seen done in the US yet because we haven't had that archetype in that same way. And
Yeah.
so I do feel like there is a high probability that they will go in that direction.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm excited to see how she does, hopefully, as a trader. And then for my next pick, I'm going to go with Natalie from Survivor and Amazing Race. I think that she's just a great competitor and will do well in terms of like the challenges or things that they have to do to get shields and that side of things, but then also her relationships with people. I think she'll be able to build up on those and keep herself safe if she's not a trader.
Yeah, I love Natalie. I think that Natalie is an incredible gamer, and I think that she has a couple of. I mean, she obviously knows Rob, so
Mhm.
she has that connection. I don't know how well she knows anyone else on the cast, so that a little bit worries me. But because I mean, yeah, Jam Jam is the only other survivor there, and he's new era. I don't know if they've met before or have any sort of established relationship. But I think that she has certainly, if she can get her footing in, I think that she absolutely has the potential to have a great game sense and be able to work her way very far in the game.
I think Natalie has a great chance of making it far, specifically because we saw what she was able to do on Winners at War, getting voted out so early and then making the relationships on the edge of extinction that she did. And she was able to garner a significant amount of votes to win at the end based on her relationships that she built at Edge of Extinction with a variety of different types of people from who had were all kind of in different eras of Survivor. So I think like watching her do that and manage that game so well, I think that we can really see her build the relationships that she needs to while on the traders this year.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
for sure. I could see it. I think that I would be surprised if she was a really early boot. I just don't see it happening. So I think I see her going pretty far here. All right. It is Jenna. You are up again.
Oh gosh. Well, Molly did choose my next two picks, but that's totally okay.
Sorry.
I will pivot to my third one in Mara Higgins. I am a huge fan of Mara. I think she is was fantastic on her season of Love Island, but even more fantastic as the host of the After Sun for Love Island US. And also like with that hosting role, she has to kind of navigate different personalities that she's interviewing or chatting with as her co-hosts. And I think that she's been able to like really have fun, playful banter with anyone who enters her space. And I think having someone that kind of has that sort of positivity, kind of vibes energy will be really good. I don't see her being a traitor, but I see her making it far as a faithful. And I'm more than happy to have someone like that on my team.
Yeah, she's a good pick. I like Maura a lot. I didn't watch her season of Love Island, but I loved her as the host of After Sun. And I thought, as you're saying, just she's able to talk to anyone and like relate to them and make jokes and all that. And so I feel like with that, people enjoy having her around. And I think she'll have also amazing outfits to see. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I think that her hosting After Sun is actually a really big plus for her because people like being asked about themselves. And I think that she being anyone who's a host, like I think Rob has this being a podcaster. Like you just get that experience of being able to talk to anyone that you might not have any background on. And especially I feel like more someone like Maura probably obviously she knows Rob Roush, but anyone else is probably complete stranger to her. But
Mhm.
being that host, and she knows what questions to ask, and she can be a good listener. And I just think people like having somebody like that around, and it's easy to build relationships that way. So I have very high hopes that she'll be able to really get in there well socially and establish those relationships that she'll need to get far in the game.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, is it my turn? Do I have two now?
Yes, now you
Yes.
have two.
Oh boy. Okay. I am going to I'm going to go with Candace Dillard Bassett.
Okay.
Because Candace is somebody who, Candace, first of all, I'm just really excited to watch. I think she is just a very, very fun reality star she is quick witted. She is going to just be able to read you up and down. And I'm just excited to watch her on here. But also, I think that she is going to be, she's going to be a loud faithful assuming she's a faithful, but whether she's right or wrong, she's going to be vocal about it. And I think either way, unless she's very vocally right, which is, I think, less likely, then I think that she's going to be somebody who the traders want to keep around just because they love a loud and wrong faithful. So I don't think that she is somebody who will be one of the first murdered. And the only thing I could see is like maybe if she's banished just because people think that maybe she's trying to like misdirect them and or something like that. But I just feel like she's not going to have a lot of suspicion on her,
Mhm.
and she's going to be someone who the traders want to carry pretty far in the game.
Yeah, I can see that. I don't know Candace super well, but from what I've seen of clips of her, she does look like she's got a big personality. And so I think that will be fun to see her on Traitors.
All right, then I have a second pick now.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. This is where starts to get a little bit tough. Okay, I think that next I'm gonna go with Kristen Kish. I think that Kristen is somebody who might be a little quiet. I could see just kind of maybe being someone who, like, 4 or 5 episodes in, we're like, oh, yeah, Kristen's here. Like, we don't get to hear from her very often. But she's very smart. And I think that she will be able to establish good connections. And I actually think she's somebody who might have a pretty good sense. I think she's going to be a good watcher, a good listener, and actually potentially be a pretty good faithful in the sense that, like, she might actually have some good theories and be right about some things, and that will make the faithfuls not want to banish her. So the only fear would be maybe that the traders eventually would say, okay, she's a little bit too on to us, let's get her out, because I don't think she'll be a traitor. I think she'll be a faithful.
Yeah.
So that's my only fear, but I don't see her getting banished super early on.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't watch Top Chef, so I don't know her either. But I think that from what I've seen of just like clips and knowing from what you just said, I feel like that means that she will make it pretty far, but just can't make it all the way to the end.
Like we've been talking about with these people who have been both contestants and hosts, I think that Kristen will again do well of making different relationships that she needs to, because I've seen clips of her as a contestant on Top Chef, but I've seen her more as in a hosting capacity on other Food Network shows. So I think, and she was a really great host. She had a lot of energy, a lot of fun, kind of was able to make this episode and shows really a good time, and I think that will serve her very well on the Traitors. Excited to
Yes.
watch her.
Yeah, she was great. Anyone who hasn't seen Top Chef Seattle, she was fantastic on there, and she's a great host too. Yeah, like you said. So I think that she is. Yeah, she has a pretty good chance here. I think.
Yeah. Well, I
All
think it's
right,
Jenna. You're
Jenna.
next.
I am going to choose the one and only Mark Ballas from Dancing with the Stars. I really see Mark thriving here. I like his personality, I think, is kind of just kind of not abrasive enough to do well. I don't think he's like super abrasive by any means, but I think he's like can get there if he needs to. He trains dancers for or he trains celebrities to become dancers for a living, and he grew up with two ballroom dancing parents, and you really have to have that grit and that like competitiveness and toughness to be successful in the ballroom world. And he is one of the most talented ballroom dancers that exist out there, and he's also has the ability to kind of again mesh with different personalities, teach them, direct them to where he wants to go, and that will serve him greatly in the Trader's Castle. So I think he's going to do really well. He might be suspected as a trader, just kind of if he is able to pull out some good reads or anything like that. But I think he's going to be able to bond with the cast pretty well, and the faith or the traders will track him along if need be. But I think I can see him doing really well.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it's only fair that you chose Marcus your next pick because I was gonna choose him and I chose the people you wanted, so it makes sense. No, but I think Mark will do well at that. Just his personality and how he's able to connect to people bring him pretty far in the game.
Yeah, I think that Mark is going to do better than Max did, our only other Dancing with the Stars pro representative that we've had so far. I just think that Mark is going to establish better relationships and probably has a little bit of a better sense of what he's getting into than Max did. So, but I also see him as being like potentially I think that Mark and Colton I can both see as being like a faithful of the faithfuls type player, and not. I don't think that he's going to be a traitor by any means, but I think that he could potentially be someone who the traders just like I don't know, maybe see as that type and don't see as a like a reason to get them out because they're like an established faithful, or a reason to keep them, excuse me, because they're like an established faithful. So it's like, okay, what use do we have for them anymore? So that's my only fear. But I think otherwise that, yeah, I see him like making a pretty deep run.
Yeah, I agree. I'm excited to see Mark and how he does.
All right.
And
And who's up next
now
here?
I have two
You have
picks back to
two.
back. Yes. So, okay, I've been trying to think about who I want next, and I'm going to go with Dorinda. I think that she's just a great personality, and we didn't get enough of her last season as she went out so early. So, I think this redemption will be good for her, and seeing how she missed so much of it obviously last season, so I think she's going to be wanting to be there really, and that's going to help her in the show. And I think that would also, if she's not a traitor, then for the traitors realize like, okay, we can't just murder her right away because she didn't get the experience last time. So I think that will also mean that she has to be there at least a few weeks.
Yeah, I don't think she's going to be first murdered again. Nobody wants to see that. We want to get our little fill of Dorinda at the very least, a couple weeks worth. And yeah, Dorinda's going to be so entertaining. She's going to be. I mean, talk about Candace being potentially loud and wrong faithful. Dorinda is going to be the loudest and the most wrong faithful, and I will love every single moment of it. And just let our girl drink. let our girl have a couple drinks. That's all I ask. I know that there's a drink limit on Traders. Just give Dorinda the exception, because a drunk Dorinda is a entertaining Dorinda, and everyone wants to see that.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. And then for my next pick, I'm gonna go with Rob R. How do you say his last name? Roush.
Ouch.
Roush. Okay. So from Love Island, season 6, I feel like he's gonna be similar to Dylan from last season, just with how he's able to charm people and maybe get on their good side just by his good looks. But also just his like kind of aloofness of a personality with like maybe not knowing what's going to happen next or what's going on. Like the traders probably will like that. Like he's not going to pick up on them. So I think he would stay around and be just like one of the faithfuls and getting along with everyone pretty much and just getting through. So that's why I'm going to choose Rob next.
I think that he'll have pretty visible reactions whenever he inevitably becomes loud and wrong faithful. I do kind of see that fate for him, but we know he loves a good eye roll. We know he is able to. He, Everyone can read his emotions on his face, so I think that that could be compelling for the traders to bring him further along into the game and not murder him and not banish him. But yeah, I see him lasting a fair amount throughout the show, and I'm excited to see him, if anything, just look at him a little bit longer. But do love Rob, and I am excited to see him in the castle.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that Rob just won't care about being there or anything, and that'll actually make him probably somebody who makes it pretty far. Because I just don't think that he's going to have a bunch of theories. I don't think that he's going to be thinking about the game too much. He's just going to kind of be hanging out there waiting for somebody to tell him who to vote for. And, maybe every so often he'll have a strong feeling one way or another, probably just because he likes somebody better. And I just don't see him. Like, Dylan cared about the game so
Yeah.
much. I think that's the big difference. Like, he was a Survivor fan.
Mhm.
Rob has never seen a competition reality show before in his life, I guarantee it. So I think that that's going to be the difference, is that I don't think that he is going to be ever leading a vote or anything like that. But I could see him every so often kind of like just getting bored and just deciding one day that, oh no, actually I think you're a traitor, and having a strong feeling about it. But like, other than that, like once in a blue moon, I think he's just going to be kind of fun to watch because of how little he will care.
Yeah, I agree.
He is not going to know who any of these people are, and I can't wait for that to happen. But
Do you
he's
think he
charming,
recognizes
he's
Mora?
charismatic. Well, yeah, besides her.
I know. Like,
Well, we saw
she
in the
literally
in the
hosted him on After Sun.
in the first 4 minutes they had a reconnection there.
Oh, they did. That's right.
So
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
I was gonna say that would be hilarious if Mora was like, Rob, and like, who the hell are you?
Who are you? Like,
Yeah.
and Mora's like, I'm Mora. Like, come on. Well, I
Okay,
think I
Jenna,
am next.
Yeah.
you are next.
I also want a housewife on my team. So I'm going to take Portia Williams because I know that her and Candace have some bad blood, bad history. I kind of want to see the girlies fighting. And I think that will make a compelling storyline. I think that they both could succeed, and I'm hoping for that. But if not, I'm here for the entertainment. I know that like she's witty, I'm pretty sure, and like has some quickness about her. So I think that automatically makes someone a more intelligent person if they are able to have some wit, have some personality. I'm I don't know. I'm excited to see her. I think that she'll do well. So I'm excited to welcome her to my team.
Yeah, so for some background on Candace and Portia's relationship, I can get into that briefly. So Candace got in season 5 of Potomac Housewives, got into one of the biggest physical fights we've ever seen on Housewives with Monique Samuels, and they were like Monique was like pulling on her hair, and they were like just throwing glasses. It was really, really, really bad. And that really scarred Candace for a long time. And there were lawsuits, and Monique left the show because of it right after that. Like it was really bad. Portia was friends with Monique. And so Portia kind of took Monique's side in a way in that fight. And at the time, Portia was on like a little like Bravo talk show type thing during the COVID days. And Portia basically like read a statement from Monique that Monique gave to her, explaining her side and defending herself. And that pissed Candace off. And so then Candace and Portia, a couple of years later, went on a Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip season together. And they got into it quite a bit because of that. And they ended up leaving that show in a good place. They made up, but I don't know how much they've really interacted since then. I think it was very kind of a tenuous thing that very, very easily could completely shatter here, depending on what happens. If either of them accuse each other of being a traitor, if either of them like vote for each other, that will completely fall. Like they're not tight friends. So I think it's very likely that we will see some drama, or at least some interesting dynamics there between the two of them.
Yeah, that definitely will be interesting to see how they are there in the house together.
Yeah.
So I'm excited
And
for that.
And Portia is, just to kind of give a little bit about her personality, like she is very bubbly. She's very fun. She's very kind of light in a lot of ways. Like you just kind of, she walks into the room and she is just like, the center of attention. And she's going to be very, very fun here. She also can be shady, and she's not though like your typical, like Candace is like, she will cut you with her words. Portia's not that type. Portia is like, she'll have some fun shade, but she's not exactly like, her and Candace are very, very different. So I'm excited to see both of them for very different reasons.
Yeah, that makes sense. We'll see shortly how that goes.
Yes. Is it my turn now? Okay, I get
Yeah.
two. Oh, okay. Um, okay, give me Ron Funches. I think that Ron is going to just be like, I don't know a ton about him. I think that he's very funny in some shows that I've seen him in. I just think that I feel like he and Jam Jam are similar types, and I just see both of them lasting a while just because like they're so much fun to be around. And I feel like Ron is going to, I don't know that he's going to really know what's going on in the game, but I think that he's going to just be very fun and lighthearted, and people want to keep him around because he's making them laugh.
Yeah, I could see that. I don't really know much about Ron either, but he seems funny from what I've seen. So I'm excited to see how he does in the Traitors.
Every clip I've seen of Ron, he is like so lively and bright and smiley and just like a good person to be around, and that's always a fun person to have in the castle, and um on challenges, and like if anything he'll provide some levity and comedic relief, and the traders won't want to banish him. He's Ron. He makes them laugh.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's how I feel. It's like, why would, unless he is a traitor, I could see him being a traitor, actually. I think that if they're trying to like go for the Jam Jam type, like that, they would normally make him a traitor, but because they just did Carolyn, they don't choose him. And I think that they could see them picking Ron instead as kind of filling that same role of a traitor that is just somebody who's fun and unassuming.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
I think for my next pick, I'm going to pick someone who I cannot believe made it this far in the draft. And I just realized it as I think Jenna was talking. I was like, wow, this person hasn't been picked yet. Give me Tiffany Mitchell.
Yeah. I do that.
Tiffany is just I mean, Rob said it best in the 4-minute preview. Like, she's a legend of Big Brother, and she is a great gamer. I could see her potentially being almost too big of a target, and that's why maybe she would get banished or murdered somewhat early on. But otherwise, I think that if she can get her footing in there, I kind of see it maybe similar to Natalie, who I think will have a similar target on her back. But if they can get their footing, if they can establish those relationships and have enough time to do that, then they're very dangerous. So I feel that same way about Tiffany.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like the unfortunate situation with the traders setting, I feel like those like gamer type are targeted more. It's like the gamers versus the non-gamers, like that term that they use a lot. And so I feel like with that, it could put a target on her back, but I'm hoping that maybe that's not the case this season.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
think
love
that's right.
Tiffany. I would have picked Tiffany for my next pick, but I think that she's very like strategically dominant, and I think that if she applies those skills in an apt way in the Trader's Castle, then I think like there's no telling what she'll be able to accomplish in there. But my worry for her is if she gets kind of too strategically kind of trying to play the game, and the traders catch on to that, or even the other faithful catch on to that, because I don't think she's going to be a trader again with my prediction at the beginning that I don't think any of the CVS people are going to be a starting trader. But I think that people could definitely like see her strategic mind kind of maybe they'll think she's working too hard or something like that. But that's my kind of one thing for Tiffany that I could see her getting caught up in. But I'm very excited to watch her. I loved her on Big Brother 23, so I think that she'll be an amazing addition.
Yeah, I think the only reason why I might disagree with the I don't think that where you don't think that CBS any of the CBS people will be starting traders. The only reason why I think I disagree with that slightly is that I think they like having people in there who they trust as being able to handle being a trader, and the gamers are typically the ones that they feel like they can trust in doing that. And that's why there have been so many in the past. So I don't think that they're going to be more than one. Like, I do think that it'll probably just be one of the gamers, but I do think that they probably do want somebody in there who can kind of like bring the traders together and understands the strategy needed to keep themselves secret. Because otherwise, if it's just a bunch of housewives or a bunch of, like Rob Roush and I don't
Donna.
know, like whoever else, Stephen Coletti, like they're not going to know what to do in there. So they're going to be found out right away. And I don't think they want to quite risk that, like not having anyone in there who can kind of tell them what to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. And then Jenna is your pick next.
Oh gosh. I don't really know where to go here, but I think I'm gonna take Tara Lipinski. I her and Johnny Weir are coming into the castle as the bestest of friends, thickest of thieves. They've been in each other's lives for a very long time now. Both were Olympic figure skaters, and now they host some coverage together all over all over different types of events. They'll, I'm sure they'll host Winter Olympics coverage coming up together. And they were, or Johnny was in Tara's wedding. They are constantly posting together. So I'm kind of interested to see how they navigate that in the castle. We saw in the preview that they kind of distance them, are were trying to distance themselves a little bit. But I think from what I know about Tara, she's just like a very kind of light, bubbly, fun person, and I think she'll be able to kind of join in with different groups of people. Like I could kind of see her fitting in with the Bambi crowd from last season, or kind of being that kind of role. But I really see her doing well going far. I think that she does kind of have some strategy. She's obviously very smart. She's been hosting for many, many years. And yeah, I think that she'll just be great. And I'm excited to see her and Johnny together.
Yeah, I know. I don't know a ton about her, but from what I've seen so far, I think that she'll do great in the trailer. So I'm excited to see her.
Mhm.
Yeah, like she was in Johnny's wedding, right? So, I mean,
Johnny was at her wedding.
Johnny
Yeah.
was in her wedding. Okay.
Hmm.
So, like, they really are close. And I do think that if they don't know how close they are, which I would think, like, they're a pretty public duo. Like, I feel like there's bound to be at least a couple people in this cast who are like have some awareness of how close they are. But if they can really downplay that, then that will be huge for them, because they can kind of go in separate sides of the castle and like have different friends and then come report back to each other and figure out what everybody's thinking, what everyone's doing. Like that could be really, really a huge help for them. So, for their sake, I hope that they're able to get away with that.
Yeah, I agree. That would be fun. So I guess, and I'm next with two people. So on that realm, I'll pick up Johnny as my next draft pick. I think if what we're saying is true, that they could maybe lay low and not let people understand how close a relationship they are. It could be nice that maybe they could get both sides of the castle, or like get more information from each other, and just knowing like if someone had an advantage or whatever, like their things could be that they could figure out if they weren't necessarily working so closely, obviously together, that they can get further in the game that way. So I think I'm going to choose Johnny for that reason, also because I think he's just fun to be around or like hear him. I feel like he's just going to bring energy and excitement to the show as well.
I think of the two of them, he is most likely to be picked as a traitor. I
Yeah.
could absolutely see him as a traitor. So I think that that's a good pick, because
Yeah.
I think that there's a pretty decent chance of that happening, because it's
And
fun if one of them's a traitor, one's not. I think that that's a fun little storyline that they'll want to explore.
for
I
sure. Well,
think
maybe
so
I'll get two
too.
traders on my team.
That would be a pretty good pick for you, Molly.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Jenna?
I was just saying that I also think that Johnny could be a traitor. I think he's a little bit more well known, so I think that they would push him a little bit farther than Tara. But I would love to see that dynamic play out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For sure.
I would
Well,
too.
then for my next pick, I'm gonna go with Colton. I feel like I'm surprised no one's picked him yet. But I think that
Are
he
you?
what? Well,
Are you surprised?
I'm not that surprised, but I also was like, okay, I guess I'm getting him. No. But I feel like because like I mean, I guess he has some controversial things that happened from after his season that haven't sit right in some people's minds, and I feel like still in my mind too, I'm like, okay, like do I want to support him? But I think that I think that in the trader sense, like I think he could do well in terms of like getting the like not being he definitely won't be a traitor, but I think he could be able to like pick up on cues of people in the castle and certain like bring up maybe this person did this or like whatever, like picking up on certain cues and then sharing that across whoever he's in an alliance or friends with or whatever. I think that he could build up on those relationships in the castle and help him pretty far. Or he's pretty unsuspecting, and then people would just like not really care that he's there, and so then they'll bring him forward with that as well.
I do think that he has a pretty decent chance to make it far, just by what we've seen from the first 3 seasons of this show, where like his archetype tends to make it pretty far. I don't see him winning. I don't necessarily see him like getting to the finale, but I see him getting halfway or more, just by nature of, yeah, he's going to be the faithful of the faithfuls, the Peter Pals. Like, he's going to be in that role, I think, of somebody who is just, I don't know that I see him being as much of a leader as Peter was in terms of like leading that whole group. I don't see that from Colton necessarily, but I do see him like being involved in that group of people who are just like the most established faithfuls, and eventually getting cut because of that.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll see. But we'll have to wait and see who actually becomes a traitor soon. Maybe Colton will be one. I don't know. I could.
No way.
You don't think so?
Not a chance,
Yeah, I
but
mean, but
who
that
knows?
could be funny if they like they know that we wouldn't think that, so then they did it.
Yeah, I could see. I just don't think that I feel like they like to have like decently big names
Yeah,
as
that's fair.
traders, and I don't know that Colton is quite big enough where people are like, oh yeah, I'm really excited to see him as a traitor.
Yeah.
What are you talking about, Michael? He was just the host of Are You My First on
Oh yeah.
Hulu.
Yeah. Okay, no shade to that show. My friend was on there. But
So is mine.
yeah, true.
No. I'm excited to see him. I think just because, and also just because we pick someone for our team doesn't mean we condone their past actions.
Oh,
But
sure, of course.
yeah, I'm excited to see him. I'm excited to hear him like kind of talk about his journey and hopefully his growth. Hopefully he can take some public accountability for his actions if he chooses to bring that up. If not, that's on him. But he's also living a happy life now with his husband and their kid. He has a podcast. As mentioned before, he's done hosting. I think that he can own himself on a camera and be able to hopefully tweak his personality a little bit to make entertaining TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yes.
sure.
But I have the next pick, and
Yes.
I'm gonna choose Stephen Coletti from One Tree
Okay.
Hill, and I haven't really seen him do much since One Tree Hill, but I think that nostalgia factor makes me excited to see him back and excited to see what he can bring. I think he's really gonna be the faithful of the faithful, fit into that crowd more so than Colton. Maybe they both are, maybe they are together, who knows. But I see Steven making it far. He's kind of your average Joe a little bit, but he's also attractive, charismatic. I think that he'll really join whatever group that he's kind of thrust into. And I feel like he could be a traitor angel, someone that is brought along, that latches themselves onto a traitor and is brought along throughout the season just because they don't want to murder their friend. So I really see him in that route, but I'm excited to hopefully be surprised by Steven. I Every season I think there's been one or two people who have really surprised us with how much of a star they are, and I'm really hopeful that that could be Steven for this season.
Yeah, I think I see it either like he's really in with it or he's not. Like he's kind of more of like the outside perspective of it. Like I feel like because he's not from reality TV, it's from like he's from like I mean there are other people who are not from the shows as well, but I think with that people might like discount his skills in maybe like some strategic ways, even if he is like perceived to be like more smart and all that. Like I think that people might not think of him in that way. And so then maybe the traders will just be like, okay, well, he's not really doing too much. Like maybe we just get rid of him kind of thing. But I don't know. Like I want to see him do well as well, but I just don't know if that's how it's going to go out on the show.
Yeah, I don't know with Steven. I mean, maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe I'll be surprised by him. I just feel like he's going to be the most like under the radar, under edited. Like, I don't know that he's going to be an early out. Like, again, he could be somebody who's just like, there's no reason to take him out, but there's no, or actually, now that I think about it, I think that he could be somebody who the traders murder relatively early on because they know that it'll just cause chaos and confusion among everybody to be like, why would you take Steven out? Like, what did he do? And it won't point to anyone in particular because nobody was close to him, and it just is kind of that chaos that the traders want to start. So I see him being a very easy candidate of that type of murder.
Yeah. But I want to see him do well. So maybe we'll be wrong.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? We could be completely wrong with all of this, which we probably will be.
Yes.
But
And it's
that's
so
what
hard to
the fun
tell.
of it is, right?
Yeah. That's why the traders is great.
Yes. Okay. I have two picks now.
Yes.
Okay. These are actually relatively easy for me. Give me Monet Exchange.
Yeah.
Monet is a gamer. Monet knows these shows inside and out. And a lot of people are going to compare her to her best friend, Bob the Drag Queen. But Bob didn't know these shows nearly as well as Monet does. So Monet is ready. Monet is studied. She we just saw her on that Survivor influencer thing that they did before season 49. And like she knows what she's getting into, and so I think that she will have that preparation and that knowledge that her previous drag race alum have not had. And I think that or at least I really hope that they give her the chance and the opportunity to show us that, and don't just take her out early on like unfortunately we have seen in the past.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was surprised to see Monet far this fall this far in the draft. I was going to choose her as my next pick, but I think what you said is completely true. I mean, we saw Bob the drag queen kind of flame out in the turret and at the round tables and stuff like that. Bob was going way too far and like kind of pushing it a lot, um, but then we have Monet Exchange, on the other hand, who, like you said, went on the Survivor influencer trip and is notoriously a huge fan of all these shows. So I think that Monet will recognize like most people here. Like if anyone will kind of be attuned to who everyone is, I think it's going to be Monet. I do think that there's also a chance that Monet's a traitor. But who knows like how they'll choose that, but I'm excited to kind of see her even if she's a faithful or a traitor. I think that she'll really make a mark, and I think that she'll just kind of bring it.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see her as well on Traitors. So that will be fun to watch
Yeah.
her.
Yeah, and my only fear is, of course, that there is sometimes an unconscious bias that we have seen in the past, and I do fear that a little bit, that especially because Bob was just a traitor, that they'll worry that the same thing would be with Monet, which I actually think that's why they probably won't pick Monet as a traitor, because it's almost too obvious after they just had Bob, similar to why they won't have Jam Jam right after Carolyn. So I hope that that doesn't happen. Like I hope that everybody gives Monet the fair chance, just like everybody else, and that we don't see her targeted earlier on than maybe she would have if she had come on last season instead of Bob.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Michael, you get another pick
I
now.
do. Okay, give me Lisa Rinna.
Yeah, I knew that you were going to get her.
Rinna is. I don't know what Rinna we're going to get in this castle. I think just from the early 4 minute preview that we got yesterday, we see her go right up to Dorinda, and like she seems like she is classic Rinna. And I hope that, and I think what's good is that Rinna has had a few years off from being on Housewives. She left in 2022, I believe. So it's been a few years. And I think that's good for Rinna, because Rinna was so deep in the Housewives show and group and everything that she wasn't fun anymore for the last couple of years that she was on Housewives. Like she was just so in it. And I think that now that she has a little bit of perspective, she's a little time off, has had a little time to relax, I think we're going to get a little bit more of a lighthearted fun Rinna here, which I'm excited about. And I think will not only be good for her entertainment value, but also good for her in the game, because I don't think that she's going to be quite as argumentative, quite as I don't even know the word for it, but I think that she's going to just be a little bit, have more fun with it. And I think that people will enjoy being around her more than maybe they would have if she had been on during those last couple of years that she was on Housewives. So I'm really excited for her. I don't think she's going to have any clue what's going on in the game, but I think that she's going to be very fun at the round table.
Yeah.
I agree. I think like from what we saw in the preview, she shows up. She's immediately like to Dorinda, "Oh, I'm wearing your lip liner," like things like
Dorinda
that.
said that to her. Yeah.
Oh well,
Yeah.
same thing. Um, but I think that she'll be really fun. I can see her being like, "Oh, you're doing that? Great, let's do that," and then
hmm
kind of go with whoever she thinks is making the best theory, but I can really see her like kind of being an active follower, active participant, active like, oh, let's go this way, let's go that way. But I also kind of see her being a murder. Like I don't know if she'll like make or I would hope that she would be kind of a banishment just so we can see that at the round table. But I do kind of think that she'll be murdered by because she wouldn't be too like loud and wrong, but she also wouldn't be too like under the radar. I think she might unfortunately fall into that middle area. But I'm definitely excited to see her. She had a lot of credentials and like acting credentials before she went on Housewives, and she also like has done a lot since as well. Like I think there's been she's done like at least 10 or so things since she got off of Housewives. So I'm really excited to see her in this role as well. And she's like said yes to lots of different opportunities that have come her way, and including this one. And definitely excited to see the looks that she brings to the castle, and excited to just watch her.
Yeah, I know. I haven't seen her on Real Housewives, so I'm excited. I feel like I've heard so much about her, so I'm excited just to see her and how she does in the Traitors' house, the castle.
Yeah, and we've
And
seen her on like Celebrity Apprentice twice. Not to bring up He Who Shall Not Be Named, but she made it far on Celebrity Apprentice. Like she's a very good, when she needs to be socially and game sense, like she has that in her. And so I think the fact that she has been on some of these competition shows like that before, I think will help her. Like this isn't completely foreign ground to her, so I think that she will have that a little bit of a leg up of some of the other like housewives and other random show people that we've seen on here before who are not gamers. I think that she's probably the most close to a gamer that we've probably seen who's not actually from a Big Brother, Survivor, etc.
yeah, so that will be fun to see.
Yes. Okay. Is it
And then
Jenna? Oh no.
Jenna,
Yeah, Jenna.
yeah,
You're up.
Jenna, you have the next pick, and then I get the next two, and then the last you get.
So this is really my last pick that I'm
Yeah.
choosing for myself. I
Mhm.
see. I am gonna take Eric.
Mhm.
I think I have learned a little bit about Eric since he's been announced as part of the cast. And from what I've learned, he grew up in America and then got started was a finance bro, apparently worked at Deloitte, and started
Oh
making
wow.
covers on his YouTube video or YouTube account, and got discovered through his covers, and was asked to audition for a Korean American Idol of sorts. Made it far on that show and has since become a Korean pop singer. Has a label, but has also like done a number of different kind of interviews. There's actually a clip of him interviewing Johnny and Tara. So I don't know if they'll recognize each other or anything like that, but that's something that I've seen. But I think that he has lived 20 different lives in his lifetime, and I'm excited to see him hopefully kind of pull from all of those to, and I can see him being entertaining. I'm really just excited to kind of see which way he goes, and I can see him making it far, and I do think that he'll bring some good energy to the castle, but we'll just have to wait and see how he does. But I'm excited about his prospects.
Yeah, I know. I don't really know him that well, but from what you just described, I feel like he could do well. Like surprisingly, like we might not know a ton right now, but like watching him in this season, like he'll be able to maybe like build the relationships with people that we might not think he would have. So I think that'll be interesting to see how he gets along with everyone and how far he can make it.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I think now that from what you described, I could maybe see him being our Dylan Efron of the season. Somebody who we just go in not really knowing anything about and then surprises us as being super likable or super, have more game sense than we expect. So I actually think that he might be a sleeper pick here.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see. So
Yeah.
now I get my final two picks.
Yeah. So let's establish where we are, who we have
Yeah.
left.
Okay.
So we have Caroline Stanberry, Ian Terry, and Michael Rappaport are the three. So you get two of those three, and then the other goes to Jenna.
I know this is a little tricky, but I'm gonna pick first. I'm gonna go with Caroline. I think I don't know her super well, but from what of just like understanding her, just the show she's on, I think that with that she'll be able to build relationships with people, especially with other housewives, and kind of like make a click maybe with them and keep each other safe with that. And I don't know in terms of like her strategy gameplay of it all, but I think then that could maybe make it so that she could go far because traders won't really suspect her as being someone who could catch them. So I'm gonna choose Caroline.
Okay. I as our Caroline expert here,
Yeah.
I'll explain a little bit about her personality. So she was originally on Ladies of London, which was a unfortunately shorter lived show than it should have been. It was a very fun show on Bravo. But then a few years later, Real Houses of Dubai. She moved to Dubai at the very end of that show, and then years later, Real Housewives of Dubai came out, and she was a main cast member on there as well for a couple of seasons. Before that, has also got canceled. But Caroline was the standout of Ladies of London, and what worries me is that the reason that she was very fun to watch on there is because she was famously very like emotionless. Like she would just kind of like she would be very dry, very like she would, read you and like be very harsh, uh but really with very little emotion. And so that worries me a bit, is that I feel like Caroline might be a little bit of a tough nut to crack, and people might get a little bit turned off of that, just as people who are like trying to get to know her and establish relationships. Like I feel like she might be a little bit of somebody who's maybe tough to get to know. And so I feel like maybe she might feel a little bit on the outs with the other Bravo people, because she is a housewife, but she's not like to that same level of having been on so many years and a big name in the housewives world as someone like Portia and Dorinda and Candace. And so a little bit worries me that she might feel a bit on the outs with that, and a bit not fitting in with anyone else either. The gamers, of course, and everyone else. So I feel like I just worry that she might be on a bit of an island by herself and not have quite enough like that social ability to establish those relationships when she gets in the castle.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, we'll have to see, but she's
Well,
one of the
again,
final
could
three,
be
so
completely
it's at
wrong.
this
Yeah.
point, yeah.
Who knows? Who knows? She
Yeah.
could end up winning this season.
Yeah, we'll never know. Okay,
We will
and then
know in a few
next,
months.
well, I guess, yeah. Well, I mean, we'll find out. Well, we
Yeah,
don't know right now is what I
right.
meant. But next for my last pick, I think I will choose Michael Rappaport. So I know you're shocked, Michael. I was gonna go with Ian, and then I was like, wait, I'm gonna change it up. No, um,
Wow. Okay.
well, because I just think that he's more outspoken, which I mean that could be a bad
Yes.
thing, but I think in some ways it could make it a good way for him to then distract other people from suspecting the traitors. People might think it's him, but then just like not vote him out because they think he's like too crazy. I don't know. But like I don't know what it could just cause chaos, and I think or he definitely is going to cause some chaos, and I think that could be a good or a bad thing for him, but I'm going to see how he does and choose him for my team.
I am one shocked by the pick, but also we saw Tom Sandoval make it to almost the finale last season, so you really can never come count out the public villain
Yeah.
of sorts. And we'll have to see how he does. I do think he'll be like a loud and wrong faithful, and I mean those are pretty entertaining to watch sometimes. And he also has lots of connections to the housewives. Some of them more positive than others, some of them very, very negative. So we'll kind of have to see how they react to him, but he does have some connections there. He was like brought on to Andy Cohen's show many, many times, and that's like how he's most known. So I'm interested to see how kind of the energy he brings to the castle and kind of what the perception of him is. But yeah, like as we saw last season, you can really never count someone out of how far they're going to make it. So I respect the pick, and I think
Thank
that
you.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he definitely does have those housewives connections that could help him. He famously had a pretty big feud with Kenya Moore, who Portia also has famously feuded with in the past, and I don't think they are on the best of terms right now. So maybe that could be a bond between them of having an enemy in common. So yeah, I mean, I don't know his relationships with Candace and Rinna and Dorinda. I don't know if they have good or bad relationships, honestly. I would have to maybe go back and see if he's been on with any of them in the past on Watch What Happens Live. But yeah, I feel like he reminds me a bit of Reza from season one of Traitors, where Reza was like kind of loud in the challenge and yelling at people, and then was the first one murdered because of that, because he just made too big of a scene. And I hope that Michael Rappaport suffers a similar fate. But also, I feel like now we're in season four, maybe something like that will actually save you.
Mhm.
So I don't know.
We'll
Who
see.
knows? We
We'll
will
see
see.
shortly.
But Jenna, that means you get Ian Terry on your team, which I'd say that's a win.
Oh, I know. I'm very happy to pick up Ian here. I really love Ian as a reality TV persona. I loved him on season 14, loved him on 22 as well. My one fear with Ian is because he beat Dan Giesling at Big Brother. Like I think his threat level may overtake him a little bit, or precede him. And he also is a little bit more on the quiet side, a little bit more analytical. And because of my theory that none of the CBS people will be a traitor, I hope that's wrong, for the sake of Ian on my team. But I don't know if he'll be able to kind of survive those early murders, just because I think he might be a little bit too in the background, and he could be someone that the traitors choose to murder. But I'm really hoping that he's able to overcome that and like work with the people that he knows already, has connections with already, and also build new relationships. I am so excited to see Ian back on my screen. I think he's just an awesome person, awesome player, and really excited to see how he does. And I'm really hoping that my predictions for how he's going to do aren't in line with what happened.
Yeah, that's why I didn't choose him, because I feel like because he's such like considered to be like a strong threat, then that's not gonna do so well for him long term in the show. But I think that maybe he could and overcome that. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, my one fear with Ian, and I love Ian. I met Ian at a Whole Foods many years ago, and he was so nice.
Wow.
And my only fear with him is that he famously in season 14 had a lot of trouble early on in week one establishing relationships, and he was almost evicted first because of that. And I know a lot of time has passed. That was 2012. It was 13 years before this was filmed, so I do think that he has probably developed many more social skills since then and knows what to do and how to establish these connections. So I don't think that he's going to suffer that same fate. But that is a little bit of a fear that maybe he might be a little shy, a little timid early on and not establish those connections. And then if he doesn't get the chance to last long enough to naturally, organically feel comfortable enough to build those friendships, and connections, then he might not get that chance, and he might just get murdered or banished early on because they see him as a threat, and the gamers who do know his reputation might spread that word, and then he ends up leaving early because of that. So that's my only fear with him. But I think that, like I've said with a couple of other people, it just is a matter of, because I hate, this is the one thing I hate about the Traitors, is that you could just get murdered for almost no reason and not have a chance to really establish those connections, and it could be almost like really nothing that you did particularly wrong. You just never had the chance to make it long enough to build that. So I that's my only fear with him, but I do think that if he does, make it past those first couple weeks, he has a lot of potential to make it really deep.
Yeah, for sure. Well,
But all
that's
right, well, we
all
have
the
our full
people.
teams.
Yes.
So let's go back through. So my team is Rob Sesternino, Candace Dillard Bassett, Kristen Kish, Ron Funches, Tiffany Mitchell, Monet Exchange, and Lisa Rinna. Molly, you've got Donna Kelsey, Natalie Anderson, Dorinda Medley, Rob Roush, Johnny Weir, Colton Underwood, Caroline Stanberry, and Michael Rappaport. Jenna, you have Jam Jen Arojo, Maura Higgins, Mark Ballas, Portia Williams, Tara Lipinski, Stephen Coletti, and Eric Nam and Ian Terry. So, how do we feel about our teams overall? Do we think, does one stand out as being stronger than the others?
I think your team, Michael, is a standout team. I really think you have some strong players, and but I wouldn't say count my team out or Molly's team out. I think we all have pretty even teams. We all have some really strategic powerhouses in there. We all have people who might fade into the background a little bit. I think we all have evenly matched teams, and just excited to see how it all plays out. I personally am thrilled with my team, but I'm also would have been thrilled to have either of your teams as well. I think that just shows how strong of a cast this is, and really excited to see what kind of entertainment that they'll bring to the castle.
Yes, agreed. I feel like we all pretty much have pretty evenly matched teams. I'm hoping I have at least one trader on my team so that can help me, or hurt me, I guess, too. But I'm excited to see how everyone does.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's hard to tell until we know who the traders are. I feel like once we know that, then we'll have little bit better idea of how this might go. But it is so hard to say without knowing that piece of very important information, how this is all going to play out. But I'm excited. Any final thoughts? Anything that y'all didn't get to say earlier that
I
you want?
don't think I'm gonna have a trader on my team, which is hilarious. I wasn't really drafting to choose the traders. I was drafting to who I think might win. So we'll have to see. Maybe one of them will be recruited later on. But my bold prediction is that I think there's only going to be two people at the last at the final. I think that they're going to be trying to take each other out. I think they might be a little bit more selfish than the last season. But I think there's only going to be two at the end there. I think one of them is going to be a traitor and one's going to be a faithful. But um, I I think that they'll try to take the money for themselves more so than try to share it with three others. So that's kind of how I see it playing out.
Yeah, I think this could be a season that has a lot of hurt feelings afterwards,
Hmm.
because I think we have a lot of people like Candace and Rinna and Portia with her past with Candace, and I think that we have some people here who, if they make it far enough in the game, I think could be take the game very personally, and there might be some interesting hurt feelings to work out at the reunion. So
Hmm.
that would be my prediction. Molly, any last words
Well,
before
I
we
echo
end
what
here?
both you guys said about Rob. But yeah, I'm super excited. Just as we're getting so close to traders, I feel like now it's like we've been thinking about this for so long that it's like crazy that it's this week now at this point. And so I'm so excited to see another season of our favorite show. So I just hope it's all that we want and more.
Yes. Well, Jenna, thank you so much for joining us for this. This was very fun, and I think doing these drafts always makes the season more fun to watch. So I'm excited to see how all our teams do.
Yes.
And thank you so much for listening. We will be back for coverage of every week of Traitors this season. So be sure to stay tuned for us with us for that, and be sure to follow us on social media at Let's Chat Reality on anywhere, Instagram, Blue Sky, wherever, whatever social media we're on there, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. So thank you so much for listening, and we'll chat with y'all later. Bye, everyone.
Bye.